There's a line in the Gospels that has always intrigued me. So, right before Jesus is crucified, he says to his disciples, "Your sorrow will be turned into joy." Your sorrow will be turned into joy. So, notice how Jesus does not say, "Your sorrow will be erased," or "Your sorrow will be taken away," but he says, "Your sorrow will be turned into joy." In other words, the same thing that caused you so much sorrow will later on be the same thing that causes you tremendous joy. So how does this work? So here's an example. Let's say a person loses their job, they get fired, which undoubtedly causes them a lot of distress and sorrow. According to this pattern, the event of getting fired will somehow mysteriously be the same event that will cause that person joy later on, perhaps for reasons they're not even aware of when they're getting fired. Now, some people might say, how does this work? Okay, how will losing my job, for example, ever be a cause for happiness later on? And I can understand the skepticism in believing something like that. After the death of Jesus, the disciples would 3 days later see a living, breathing Jesus, which made them happy. Seeing a living Jesus, yeah, it's a happy event, but seeing a living and breathing Jesus is only a tremendously happy event because he died a terrible death. So this is why in today's gospel, it says that the disciples rejoiced, not just in seeing a living and breathing Jesus, but specifically after seeing the wounds of Jesus. So here's the pattern. The death of Jesus on Good Friday, which caused the apostles so much sorrow, now becomes the cause of so much joy after the resurrection. And this is a pattern that God likes to act out often, and he wants to act this out in your life and in mine. How God works that out might seem like a mystery right now, but it's what he does promise to do. One of my favorite examples of how this plays out in real life is with Nick Vujicic. I've mentioned him before, but Nick was born without limbs, no arms and legs. Being without arms and legs definitely was a cause of sorrow and distress for Nick early in his life. But he said one day when he was about 15, he was reading the scriptures and he had a mind shift. He no longer felt sorry for himself, but he became convinced that God had a plan for Nick, not despite his limitations, but because of them. And Nick was right. God never took away his struggle, so he's still without arms and legs today, but he turned it into an inspiration for others, therefore bringing joy to their lives. And so the pattern for Nick was obvious. What was once a cause of so much pain and confusion in his life, which God never took away, now became the cause of joy, not only in Nick's life, but in the lives of so many others. So let me just invite all of you today to take whatever is the cause of sorrow in your life. What's the cause of sorrow in your life? And entrust it to the Lord, who somehow, some way, in his wisdom, will make it into a cause for joy.